Hey YouTube, how you doing? This is Quad B with another video, and what you're about to see is a segment from a Denver area public affairs show called The State of Colorado, on which I appeared occasionally to talk about various issues that I had covered as a reporter in Denver. It was hosted by Don Kinney, and what you're about to see is my description of the state legislature's law that was passed that year requiring school districts to toughen up their policies where it comes to expelling kids from school. And as I listened to it recently, I thought to myself, was I really describing unwittingly the origins of today's school-to-prison pipeline? I want you guys to take a look at it and judge for yourselves. And my segment was sandwiched between two other segments by a colleague of mine who was speaking about a survey that was commissioned, talking to about 800 residents of the state of Colorado about their attitudes toward public schools and post-secondary education or higher education. And a lot of what he had to say was very interesting. So I want you all to take a look, and I'll be back with some closing thoughts at the end. Enjoy.
Over recent weeks, a number of Coloradans had an opportunity to express their view about public education, junior high, high school, and college. You're not happy. Chris Broderick.
Not the 2 out of 3 Coloradans I'm happy in terms of public schools. The interesting about this thing, the polls come and go, as you know, Don, but this is the best and the biggest poll I've ever seen in Colorado on education. It's surveyed 400 people statewide on public schools and another 400 on higher education. It's commissioned by Education Commission of the states and their national experts. It's just targeted at Colorado. It's kind of a baseline for this project that they're going to do, funded by business and civic leaders around the state, to take a hard look at schools and higher ed and find out what people, first of all, it starts with this poll, what don't they like, and then to try to frame some solutions around that in the next several months.
Paul Talmy, who did the research, said the message is clear. We do know what's going on, and we're not satisfied.
That's important because a lot of the times, particularly with some of the elections that we've had, the favorite line by school officials and administrators and bureaucrats is, we're just not selling our message. We just need better PR. Well, Talmy points out that you can have all the PR you want, but the fact is this poll and the focus groups that go along with this poll is not based on what people read in the paper or see on television. It's based on most of the information that they're getting is from their own kids' education, their own experiences, and even themselves in higher education.
And they're saying that when you graduate from high school, you don't know enough.
They're saying you don't know enough, and they're saying that there's some interesting things in this poll about public attitudes, because it is the most, I think we need to take it pretty seriously because it's the most comprehensive. A couple of surprises. One is, yeah, basics are, we saw that in the Littleton election. We're going to see that in Jefferson County. We're going to see that all over in terms of people want basics taught, basic academics. Another thing they want taught, 70% of the poll listed sex education is really important, which is interesting. There's another thing that many more people found that knowledge of computers is more important than knowledge of liberal arts in high school, which is interesting. And then 2/3, and Leroy can talk about this a little, but 2/3 of the people say that actually they don't think problem kids should be kicked out of school. And that goes against exactly what they're doing in schools with this new law that passed in Denver, Jefferson County, and all the other districts. They're expelling problem kids now, but 2/3 of the people surveyed around the state say they shouldn't.
Let us, in fact, go to Leroy Williams. Just last night, the Denver School Board adopted the plan that if you misbehave 5 times, you're history.
That's true. Yes, the Denver School Board did do that on Thursday night. Basically, as Chris pointed out, it's basically under a state law that was passed this year by the legislature requiring districts to come up with tough new discipline laws. Basically, one hallmark of these laws is that it gives school districts greater power to suspend students for for infractions not only in school and on school grounds, but off of school grounds as well. The feeling being that if there's a fight off of school grounds, it could continue into school, say, the next day or a day later, and that's when school officials have to get involved in it.
Part of the legislative action earlier this year was that the student is expelled and no state money will be used to deal with that student.
That's right.
Well, if the schools don't, who does?
Still an open question. Nobody knows. They're really concerned about that in Denver, where resources are stretched thin, as Brian noted, to fight gangs and whatnot. The school officials in Denver are really concerned about that. Denver tends not to expel as much as, say, other districts as a proportion of students. For example, this year, so far, Denver has expelled 5 students, whereas the Cherry Creek School District has expelled 10, I believe, so far.
Well, and last year, Denver did something like 38 who were out.
Yeah.
But out in Jefferson County, it was 47 or something, that number?
I believe so.
Well, the school board is put in this position of adopting something the state legislature said they wanted to have done. Do they feel pressured, or is this helping them in their view?
I think they feel pressured. They would rather do it their own way. I think school districts would rather do it their own way. I really do. At this point, again, nobody knows what to do with those kids who would be out on the streets for as long as a year.
Back to Chris Broderick. To higher education, the big concern is it's just getting too expensive.
Yeah, I think, you know, Roy Romer was at this kickoff when they announced the findings of this poll. And I think you're going to see next legislative session in a month from now, Don, higher ed is going to be on the front burner. It hasn't been in Colorado in a long time. Schools have been on the front burner. Romer and other legislative leaders, Tony Bramstis and so forth, and the JBC, they are really getting fed up with complaints from constituents about the rising cost of tuition and the rising cost of college and public college in Colorado, not just CU, but all of CSU, etc. It costs, you know, if you live on campus in Boulder and attend school there, it's costing $7,000 to $10,000 a year, and of course the average student takes 5 years now to graduate, get an undergraduate degree. That's a lot of money. That's what, $45,000 to $50,000. So get out the checkbook, Don. But 80% in this poll it said, yeah, I know. You're lucky. You're one of the lucky ones. Brian over here, on the other hand, has got his kids are young, so it's got a double. But 8 out of 10 people in this poll, which is a lot, said that they don't think average working families can afford college anymore if tuition continues to increase. 2
aspects of this survey, if I may, Chris Broderick. One is the people who were polled said there should be more teaching and less research at the universities.
That's a message obviously we've written a lot of stories about that in the past couple of years, and I think that that's a huge issue in higher education across the country, teaching versus research.
And the other aspect is the poll, the sampling is done, the opinions are gathered, but no one has a suggestion of how to improve things.
When you ask people about what they complain about, and I think this is probably true of most public attitude surveys, they're very quick to point out what they don't like. When you ask them for some consensus on how to fix it, they're all over the place on how to fix it. And frankly, I don't think we should expect that so much from rank and file. I think that's why they elect people in the legislature and elect regents and so forth. These are the people that are supposed to come up with the solutions.
Chris Broderick, education reporter at the Rocky Mountain News.
So what did you guys think? What I thought from hearing that entire segment again 25 years later was that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And the other thing about appearing on that show, which was sort of Denver's version of Washington Week in Review, was that the host, Don Kenny, was on point. When you were booked to be on that show and you showed up early on Friday morning for that taping, his check to you for $40 was right there on the desk, on the panel, in the studio. Beer money, baby, back when I drank beer. But I just wanted to show you this just to give you guys some historical perspective on some things. And that's pretty much it. So if you like this video, please share the video. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the Quad B channel for a chance to be entered into a science-related giveaway later on this summer. And please click on the bell so that when Quad B goes live or uploads new content, you will be notified. So until next time, this is Quad B saying peace, deuces, and God bless.